Let me tell you, if you ever want a front row seat to suburban drama, forget reality TV, just move into a so-called peaceful lakeside neighborhood and wait for the first HOA power grab. That's exactly what happened to me. Or more specifically, to my 78-year-old grandfather, George, who just wanted to spend his retirement mornings fishing at the little lake behind our house, his sanctuary, his coffee companion, his way of staying close to the memory of my grandmother. But last month, somebody decided to build a gleaming 6-foot fence overnight, blocking off Grandpa's favorite spot and slapping a shiny private property sign on it like they owned not just the path, but the whole lake. Welcome to Lakeview, where the HOA president wears her power like pearls and wields community standards like a club. You know what I mean? The kind of place where your garden's rights somehow outweigh those of an old man who's been here longer than most of the paint on these houses. What started as one stupid fence spun into something so much bigger and nastier: power trips, revenge real estate schemes, and one truly epic showdown with the queen bee herself. I'll never forget that Tuesday morning. Grandpa's voice called out confused and almost broken instead of his usual cheerful greeting. "Luke, son, come look at this," he said, standing by the brand new fence. It was pro-concrete footings, smooth white panels, a sign that screamed, "You are not welcome." His tackle box dangled from one hand like he didn't know what to do with it anymore, and I swear he looked like someone had rearranged his entire world while he slept. "Grandpa, when did this go up?" I asked, and he just shook his head, saying, "Overnight, son." "Last night I walked right down this morning, here we are." My blood simmered. That path wasn't just dirt, it was decades of memories. He'd been walking it since before most of the HOA board was even out of high school. An hour later, I found myself standing in Sophia Reynolds' perfectly manicured front yard. Sophia, our newly divorced 38-year-old HOA president, greeted me with a smile so fake you could use it to scam a lie detector. "Oh, Luke, what brings you by this lovely morning?" she asked, still wearing her expensive sun hat and gardening gloves like she was about to host a magazine shoot. I didn't bother with small talk. "There's a new fence blocking the path to the lake. My grandfather can't reach his fishing spot." She didn't miss a beat. "That fence is there for a reason, Luke. The old path was becoming unsightly, not to mention a security concern. If residents want lake access, it's now a managed amenity. $50 a month per household. $50 a month? Maybe pocket change to Sophia, but to Grandpa, that's grocery money." I tried to reason with her, but she just kept talking about community standards and how the board voted unanimously. That's when I knew something stunk worse than the swampy end of the lake. That night, Sophia called an emergency HOA meeting. The community center filled up fast, everyone buzzing about the fence and new fees. Sophia played it up like she was running for Senate. Security improvements, she said. Concerns about unregulated foot traffic. Next to her sat Frank Williams, the HOA's longtime accountant, 50 years old, balding quiet, always nodding along. But I saw something shift in his eyes when Sophia said unanimous board decision. It was more like fear than agreement. I stood up and held up old property deeds that proved the path was legally established a community right-of-way. Sophia barely glanced at them. "Luke, these old documents aren't relevant. We have to look to the future." The way she said old made Grandpa's years of quiet stewardship sound like ancient history. That night, as Grandpa sat on the porch, coffee growing cold, I promised him I'd file a formal complaint. "Are you sure you want to poke this hornet's nest, son?" he asked, voice heavy. "Some folks fight dirtier than others. But if I didn't draw the line, I knew she'd take more today. It's the fishing spot tomorrow. It's somebody else's happiness." The very next morning, Sophia struck back. Every mailbox in the neighborhood got a notice. Common area maintenance fees were going up by $25 a month, effective immediately, to fund security enhancements. Classic power move punished the whole community because one person stood up to her. Rachel, a neighbor who once got cited for letting her grass grow 3 inches too high, cornered me by the mailbox. "This is about your grandpa, isn't it?" I nodded. "Don't apologize," she said. "She's been looking for an excuse to flex for months." A second emergency HOA meeting followed, even more packed than the first. Sophia had poster boards with before and after pictures, crime stats from God knows where, and speeches about disruptive individuals holding back community progress. Her eyes never left me. But more people were starting to see through it. Frank's shoulders slumped every time she claimed unanimous support. The next morning, the fence posts glistened with fresh concrete, And there were new security cameras aimed straight at the block path, professional ones like you'd see at a bank. That's when my engineering brain really kicked in. I started looking at the neighborhood through different eyes. See everything in a community flow's water power gossip. I mapped out the stormwater drainage, and sure enough, Sophia's precious garden sat right on a natural low point. If you mess with water flow, you better know what you're doing. Wednesday morning, toolbox in hand, I made a few adjustments at key storm drain access points. Nothing dangerous, just enough to slow drainage on Sophia's side. By Thursday, her garden was soggy. By Friday, it was a swamp. Rachel helped keep tabs, walking her dog past to report on Sophia's increasingly frantic efforts, calling in landscaping experts, pacing her yard, blaming her irrigation system. By the weekend, Sophia was in full panic mode. She called another HOA meeting, this time accusing someone, me, let's be real, of sabotaging her property. This is an attack on our community, she announced, showing dramatic photos of her flooded garden. Frank looked like he wanted to disappear. When she said, "We've identified suspects," Frank's head snapped up, suddenly alert. She tried to pin it all on me, claimed she'd seen me by the storm drains carrying tools. "Sophia, are you accusing me of sabotage because your garden got a little muddy?" I asked, unable to hide a smile. She snapped, "My garden is being destroyed by someone with the technical know-how and the motivation." The meeting dissolved into nervous whispers, but the cracks in Sophia's control were starting to show. The next day I got a certified letter, cease and desist, threats of legal action, the whole works. Now she was bringing in lawyers. Grandpa saw me stewing over the letter. "Sometimes doing the right thing comes with a price," he said. "But son, are you ready to pay it?" For a minute I wasn't sure. I almost called it off until Rachel reminded me. "You fix your mistakes, Luke. That's more than Sophia's ever done." Then Frank Williams showed up at my door. "I never wanted any of this," he admitted, nearly whispering. Turns out Sophia had been blackmailing him over a $23 bookkeeping mistake, threatening to accuse him of embezzlement if he didn't vote her way. All those unanimous board decisions, lies forced by threats. Frank handed me the real HOA meeting, minutes, handwritten notes proving he'd tried to defend the path, tried to push back, but Sophia never let it reach a fair vote. That's when it clicked. This was bigger than pride or a fishing path. Digging through public records, I found out Sophia was quietly working with real estate investors, trying to drive down property values, force people out, then buy up their homes cheap. She'd even sent Grandpa a lowball offer for his house, using the access limitations she'd created as her excuse. Armed with documents, drainage maps, and Frank's testimony, I walked into the final showdown, one last HOA meeting that felt more like a courtroom. Sophia stormed in, declaring, "We're under attack by domestic terrorists." She flashed dramatic garden photos and called for criminal charges against me. I stood up. "You want to talk about sabotage?" I said, laying out the real board minutes, the drainage maps, the city planning documents. "Your garden is flooded because you blocked the drainage path, not because of sabotage. And you lied to everyone about board approval." Frank, finally fed up, confirmed it to the whole room. Then Rachel, bless her, stood and asked the question that shut everyone up. "So Sophia, you created your own flooding problem by blocking the path that kept your yard dry." The room erupted. I handed over the documents to the city's inspector, who ordered the fence down for violating public easements and drainage ordinances. Sophia's carefully built empire crumbled. The next morning, city crews tore down the fence. Grandpa got his path back, the water in Sophia's garden drained away, and no surprise, her shady real estate deals drew the attention of the district attorney. Within a week, she was facing charges for fraud and conspiracy. Rachel got elected HOA president, fees and fines vanished, and the neighborhood finally exhaled. Now Grandpa's back at his favorite spot, coffee in hand, casting his line into the quiet lake. Sometimes justice takes its sweet time, but man, when it finally shows up, it's beautiful. Sophia. She moved out of state. Her former garden is home to frogs and mosquitoes now. Nature's little verdict. Funny how a simple fence turned into a battle for the soul of a neighborhood, huh? And if you're wondering whether peace has returned to Lakeview, well, let's just say drama never sleeps in the suburbs. So, what do you think? Was I right to fight, or did I go too far? Let me know in the comments, because honestly, in neighborhoods like this, everyone's got a story about justice, power, and the lengths will go to protect the people we love.